The only other thing that I think is worth mentioning at the beginning, because I will bring it up later, is the idea of family brought up at the beginning of the movie and how, this is a family value, which
Hmm.
when it comes to a value to present, family isn't a bad value, but it's not also really a value. And that was part of the
Well, okay,
problem.
maybe here's
But
okay. With this movie,
so
family
go
was the
ahead, go
big
ahead.
deal because
Uh-huh.
clearly what the angle the filmmakers are trying to go with this, the storytellers was like, this is a Latino family, like a Mexican
Yeah.
family. Like they're trying to like, oh, we're close family wise. Like they're trying to lean heavily into that. Like they're trying to lean into the immigrant status kind of thing and trying to play that
Right.
as the victim card or whatever. But the problem is, like they focus so heavily on that, they didn't develop the characters. They didn't develop like give you reasons to empathize with them enough. It was just very chaotic and weird at times. I felt.
Well, not only that, but I would argue that the value of family needs to be tied to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
Yes.
when you say, for example, you don't just say perseverance. You would
Mm-hmm.
say if perseverance is the value, what you value, you say you persevere through the worst of trials or through the darkest of temptations or through whatever, and then it's directed towards something, right? And that's what's important is that you don't just have a value, but it has a value in a context of
Mm-hmm.
something else. And so when you say family is most important, or you say something like that, you want to say family is my exploration of love, or family is the exploration of my perseverance or my dedication, or family is the example of overcoming all obstacles or something like that, right? Like there is some, and you can make the argument for those, but we'll get to that. I don't think they make a good point of that. Anyways, the point is it needs to be tied to something, and they use the word family a lot as if it
Mm-hmm.
created this great value. So they had pieces in place to make this a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I wanted to emphasize is at the beginning of the movie, they had the pieces in place that made it, okay, this could be a good movie.
Yeah.
And as we go on, it's simply not the
Well,
case.
actually, I would
Sorry,
like to
everyone.
say, okay, I find this very ironic. I mean, this is a little jumping ahead and maybe like going too quickly to like a summary look at the movie. But when I walked out of that theater, it struck me like many years ago in high school. Like if I was writing a story, I was so heavily focused on plot and structure. Like this is the
Mhm.
kind of story I might have written at the time because it's like there is an aspect where it's like the plot points are actually not bad in a certain way. They're just not played right. They're not done
uh,
right, like believably. Like you don't have like there isn't enough fleshed out elements to those story, the characters, and to some of the plot points. They needed to be fleshed out more. But
mhm,
if you're just doing like a good story structure, more or less, and don't give it enough, like this is what you kind of get.
mhm.
If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, absolutely. That's hilarious.
And that's maybe why
But
it annoyed me a little bit more. Is like, 'cause it reminded me of my past. I don't know, just
angsty high school Avalon is
yeah,
writing this story. Yeah,
yes.
that that's frustrating.
I
Anyways, um,
don't know. It had very little impact on the plot, except I guess the revolutionary grandma. I don't know.
yeah, the La Viva la Revolution.
Yes.
Um, family. It didn't really stand for anything. Like I talked about how that's important earlier.
Yeah.
Family versus what? It was almost like through family. It almost became through family I could take revenge, because originally he wasn't taking revenge with his family, and then he almost takes revenge on this woman anyways because of his family and being wanting to protect his family and getting revenge on his father's death. And it was like, okay, this is not the theme we're going for here. But then the Blue Beetle stops him from making that the theme. So the theme is just back to we overcome with family question mark, because the Blue Beetle entity isn't really family, and also the family was pretty not invested in themselves when they just forgot their own husband slash father. So I don't know. The theme was also crap.
Mhm.
I'll say that.
So the plot by number, the plot plot by numbers chart is right here, and it's like, oh, fill in this blank for theme of the movie, family. Just put that there, and nothing
Yeah,
connected to that.
yeah. A Mad Libs. They just filled out a Mad Libs and made a
They
movie.
fill out of Mad Libs, yes.
That's what happened. Uh, Sweet. Well, now we know. Now we know how you can make a blockbuster. Well, you can make a movie that goes into the theaters
Yeah.
and not know how to do anything.
No, I'm
Uh,
actually half convinced they actually just printed off a diagram from some website and just like filled it in, and that is what they based the movie on.
well, yeah. It's like here's the thing, right? You could technically fulfill all the points of
Mhm.
a good diagram story, but you have to make sure that the story has believable characters in it, because characters are the essence of a good story, and they
Mhm.
just didn't have that. And that means those characters have to have depth. They have to have nuance because all of us do. We say that we do one thing, but we'll oftentimes not fulfill that all the way. We'll do something else. And then people will question, well, why did you do that? And we'll have to defend ourselves. Like, life is messy. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to be complicated. We're going to be confused about some of the things that we do ourselves. And that's part of what makes us not human, but that makes us unique. And that's what makes these other characters unique too, is how they have these things that they do that are unique from other people and how they don't always stand by what they say they're going to stand by, etc., etc.